Good morning. What the fuck is up, pals? If you don't know, my name is Willard and this is twinkledads. twinkledads is an emo advice show. People send in questions asking for personal advice about anything, whether it's relationships or lifestyle choices or whatever situation is pressing you at the current moment. And I answer them with the utmost openness and honesty that I can answer. Then I'll pair them with a few emo punk songs that I believe will help you cope with your feelings. If you'd like to send in a question to be answered in a future episode, please email me at twinkledad69@gmail.com. Feel free to be as vulnerable and as guttural as you want. I want this show to be about the listeners. I want this to be about you because I care about you. I hope you're doing well. And I want you to do well. And sometimes that is really, really difficult to do so. Once again, my email is twinkledad69@gmail.com, and I'd be more than happy to correspond with you. Today, I will be answering 3 questions. Technically 4, but the last 2 are like very short and quick. And I'm excited. This is the first episode where I will be answering questions, since last episode 0, served more as a prologue. And even though I'm stoked about it, it comes at a really funny time for, I think, all of us. Now, this episode is dropping the day after Christmas. So if you're listening to this around then, chances are you're in a place that's familiar. You're at your current home, you're at a family home, or you're at your childhood home. And sometimes, especially for the latter two, family and childhood homes, you are returning to a place that you grew up in, but you don't necessarily want to be in right now. I know I'm recording this in the cemetery next to my childhood house because it's the only thing that feels fitting. They always say that Christmas is supposed to be a time for collective happiness. But how much of that is even possible? If you're returning to a place that, you've done some things that you're you're happy you grew from, but you've also done things that you regret, it's going to put a difficult feeling in your stomach. Well, let's do a quick exercise, for example. Close your eyes and imagine all of the experiences that you've had in the place where you are at the moment. If it's a childhood bedroom or a living room or bathroom or a park, there's a good chance that you've experienced a lot and that you can't recall every single thing that has happened. But what sticks out is the most pertinent. Good memories, bad memories, exciting memories, horrible memories. And let all of those memories just kind of zip by you. Like you're driving really fast down the neighborhood street with all the Christmas lights. And you are just bum rushed with LEDs. Some pretty colors, some ugly colors. Like those Christmas directions that are all white. The Christmas lights that are all white. Why the fuck would anybody do that? Red and green is the place to go. But yeah, imagine and recollect your memories like you were driving down the street with a bunch of Christmas lights. And acknowledge what you're glad has stuck with you from those experiences and what you're happy that you left behind. Because it's tough. It's tough to feel like this, and it's always tough to return home. So if you're feeling lonely at all, no worries. That's definitely an understandable feeling. And I want you to know that we're here, I'm here, to help you get through it. So yeah. Now I will be answering 3 questions. We will be covering self-destruction, job choices, and two quick questions about love. But first, we're going to kick it off with a very short song. It's by this cool and I think totally overlooked band called Total Downer from Cleveland, Ohio, off of their new EP, and it's called Big Mouth. Thank you, and I'll see you so soon. I love you.
Scrolling violet porn fortune, soaked in shameful emotions, only way you knew to love. So when you got to college, you soon classmates for practice had a problem, but said you were getting better. Now you're pacing, anxious, typing in your phone note section. Don't say you don't remember, cause I know you understand it. Friend, I get what you're going through. I used to be that way with not such innocent big mouths, never would shut it down. Those times you never thought to ask, cause everything just felt so right, your porno fantasy. You sound so selfish when you say it. Every time you think about her, you get stomach aches. You're not confused, you just don't care what you do. But like just sorry, selfish, walking contradiction, poison brain. More than a mistake, you're still the exact same. I wonder, can people really change? You're pacing anxious, making it about you. You're not so innocent, big mouth. Not so innocent, big mouth. Not so innocent, big mouth.
Dear twinkledad, I find myself in a fairly comfortable position in life. I have a stable and successful career, a loving partner, and life on paper is overall very good. However, I am often overcome by the feeling of wanting to self-destruct my life, wanting to just run away and abandon these things that I have built and work towards just to be anything and anywhere else. What would you recommend I do? Thank you so much. And thank you. Wow, I think what a way to start off. And, you know, the first thing that came to mind when I read that question was structural violence. I want to ask you, have you ever truly contemplated what it would be like to destroy everything in your life? You know, more than just breaking up with your partner or moving away without a plan. What if you were to just gut it all and then essentially disappear? Yeah, because I'm thinking of like decolonial theory. That's the most pretentious way I could kick it off, but it's like what makes sense in my mind. In that, like, you know, Frantz Fanon's decolonization theory is that it requires violence. That everything that has been paved over you and your ancestors in your history, in order to truly rewrite it and to have an authentic experience for you, you just have to burn it down. And a lot of people are scared to decolonize what's in front of them. You know, I remember at school we had this thing where it was like one of the chants at a protest was decolonize the curriculum, Indigenous studies now. But there is so much you have to do to actually decolonize something than just saying something or act like it's better, because there's still all this history behind it. Now, when talking about your life, you know, and everything that you love, think about what you don't love. Obviously, you're showing signs of discomfort with it all, but just picture things that piss you off and that you want to destroy. Then allow yourself to confuse those feelings, we'll call them feelings of hate, with your feelings of love towards your partner, towards, you know, your job and where you live. And just give yourself time to daydream about what it would be like to destroy it all. And when you say that you want to self-destruct, what would true self-destruction look like? You know, would you be happy with it? Will it provide you a cathartic feeling? Like, what's the best version of self-destruction to you? Now, I'm only recommending that you think about it, and like think about it. Don't really dwell on it. You know, allow yourself to escape into the fantasy for a few moments in a way that isn't toxic, and then just really focus on what positives is brought, like, you know, what positive could come out of that hypothetical self-destruction. You know, I think for a standard person, if they're to decolonize everything good and everything bad in their life, the most realistic answer to that question of what's the positivity that's coming out of it is finding authenticity, is finding out what you want to do, what would make you happy right now and possibly in the future, and what you prioritize. And I think, you know, of course, no one is ever going to be truly authentic, but I think there's a glimmer of hope to it. Like, it's totally not wrong to have those feelings. You know, it's totally okay to delve into them a little bit, because suppressing anger, suppressing discomfort, suppressing, you know, your feelings of being trapped isn't going to do you well in the long run. And so, like, what are devices that you think you could use that taps into that guttural, fucking visceral authenticity that would come with self-destruction? And how can you filter it into what you do in your daily life? You know, a lot of people are at least some forms of artist. And so when creating art, when creating art, I always think about a piece of advice given. It's actually not a piece of advice. It is fully just I think it's a Mitch Hedberg quote. A comedian like that, where it's about just only, like, when it comes to writing stand-up material, you know, write the material that you want to see and that what you want to do. As long as you find it funny, that is good enough. And so when channeling your current feelings into a sort of, like, you know, format, find what taps into your, like, true spirit, your core spirit the most, and just see, like, what that does for you. I don't know. In a dream world, we could all self-destruct. Just say, fuck it. No consequences. I'm just going to hop on a Greyhound and go across the country. I don't want to speak to anybody, but I still, like, want a sustainable future. But we can't. Capitalism says we can't. Society norms says we can't. So we're just kind of stuck here. You know, so it's like, if you do, like, you know, I presume you do some sort of art, but, you know, if you do art, what is it? How can you just push yourself in that form of art so that it's no longer the end product of the art that's controlling you? It's your true self, your true feelings, and your true understanding that's controlling what the art looks like. I'm trying to think of other forms of self-destruction that would be healthy, hypothetical self-destruction. A lot of people do axe throwing, or that weird tourist trap where you go into a room and break stuff. Personally, that doesn't feel healthy at all. But if you have experience with it and you're like, fuck it, I can do it again, then do it again. No one's stopping you. But I guess like that's just, that's just formal advice about what to do. But in reality, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Like I'm truly sorry because, that shit just fucking sucks. It's tough to keep your head up at all times of the day, and that people expect you to do something formal and reasonable, but which humans are formal and reasonable. So, yeah, how often have you talked about this with your partner? Do you have a therapist? Once again, it's not like, like, I don't know, however people feel about therapy is probably valid. But just, how open can you get with like communicating these feelings to the people around you to, one, not only let them know what's going on, but two, and most importantly, for you and them to find a way how to get through it together. It's going to be tough. That isn't necessarily easy because, self-destruction and wanting to like implode or explode, there's no nuance to it. The chances are, like, typically someone would just, like, I would just walk up to somebody and they, like, in that state, if they ask me how I'm feeling, it's like, I'm going to, like, fucking run through a wall. And, you run risk of it being trauma dumpy, which no one should have to put their partner or communication partner through that. So I think just the most realistic step would just be communicating to just find steps forward that could help you in any way, and I'm sorry if it doesn't. I'm sorry if especially this time of the year isn't helping that either. Like a lot of places are dark and depressing in winter. It might be a bit of a seasonal affective disorder, but yeah, I would just recommend not only being open to other people, but being open to yourself about those feelings. Because I think the biggest damage you can do is suppressing them to act like it's normal. Because, you are in a tough spot. You should honor that, and other people should honor that. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm even more sorry that this was like kind of like 9 minutes of rambling, but keep your head up, hubby. Hopefully it will all be good in the not so distant future. So yeah, that's where I'll end on that diatribe. I understand that you sent in, this question was part one of a two-parter, but I'm going to respect both parts as individual questions. Because like there is like some thematic overlap, and I'll talk about it. I'll talk about how they overlap when answering the second question. But yeah, keep your head up. And when I was thinking about what songs and like feelings and sounds I wanted to accompany with this, I was thinking, like I said before, structural violence, wanting to gut one's own body of water for the sake of doing so. I want dissonance and chuggy fucking riffs. And I was thinking of good songs to communicate. So I compiled 4 that I'm going to front load without really any spaces in between them, because I'm just going to let how they are sequenced do the talking. First is the song Words Fail by Sick Puppy, which is like a brand new Newfoundland emo post-hardcore band who just dropped a tape like a few weeks ago. And thankfully they popped up in one of the algorithms that I follow. And I think, how it opens up, you just have like the fucking pounding drums with a little bit of reverb on them. The guitar riff chugs a bit of, it's a bit chugging in it. But the lyrics are simple and I think gets your feeling across. Quote, "There are some things that I wish I can tell you I can't help it. I can't help it if my words fail. I know I wasn't patient, but you were never kind. It's hard to understand when I live in my mind." This song isn't going to solve all your problems, but it's going to give you, words that might help you describe what it is. People are going to ask you how you're doing, and you could just read these fucking lyrics word for word. And so, yeah, so the first song, Words Fail, is meant to just kind of like locate where your feelings are at from an outsider perspective. Then I followed it up with Do You Still Believe in God by Birds Fear Death. I'm using this song as an example of what's non-nuanced ways of communicating that you want to self-destruct. You have that sample about suicide in the beginning, and it's just a very blitzing, hyper-pop emo song that is just so straightforward with its emotions and with its discussion of self-harm and self-directed actions that are meant to destroy. Following that is personally an all-time favorite song and favorite band from where I'm from, Reno. They're called Skin, and the song is Inner Monologue. Yeah, I mean, it kind of deals with work, but I put it here instead of, I paired it with this question rather than the next question because of just kind of the ending, the final minute of it. It's a very kind of straightforward emo song, kind of sounds like Mineral, but there's an ethereal dreamy part. And, there are lines talking about, going out of the city, and that as you stand there without telling your friends and the people who care about you and that you care about how you're truly feeling, how it feels like they're passing you by and you are just stuck. It's truly I think an out of body of experience inside of a song. And I think that's the best way to just kind of follow up the previous two songs, because it isn't really straightforward in its action, and that it communicates more towards those unexplainable feelings than words you can actually say, if that makes sense. Then, to end the section off, I paired Kaho Matsui's song, I Love Everyone So Much. This is fully just kind of an electronic sample track. And it's about, I'm putting it here because to me, in the narrative, it's questioning what the future would be like if you were to actually self-destruct. And realizing that if you were to self-destruct, there are people who will bond over their heartbreak of you self-destructing, but will also bond for the love of each other in this times. When going through grief, there are people that you love. In a sense, you self-destructing can give people opportunities to love each other. But most importantly, you are loved. So here are all 4 of those tracks. Words Fail by Sick Puppy, Do You Still Believe in God by Birds Fear Death, Inner Monologue by Skin, and I Love Everyone So Much by Kaho Matsui. I'll see you so soon. Thank you so much.
Suicide isn't the answer. You have a lot to live for. It will get better.
Text me back when you want my body more.
Hey, Joe Fashion.
I think one of my favorite memories that involves all of us is honestly, regardless of how sad it is when after Paris died, we were all at a Norm house for like 3 days, and it was one of the most painful and heartbreaking and like bone-shaking things I've ever been through. But to see visually and feel it emotionally that everyone can come together for such a hard time and feed each other and laugh and be there for each other and not focus on the pain that is at hand, but just be able to stay in the moment and peacefully see everyone for who they are in their like ugliest and most vulnerable states, and be able to love someone on such a deep level, Paris and everyone included, was really special to me. And it's something that I hold a lot of faith in, because I think of if something gets really, really bad, then things can get really, really good again, because it proves that everyone will support each other through the hardest of things, which I think is something people are really scared of sometimes, where it's like, well, what would happen if A, B, or C happened to me in a setting of like being unsafe or feeling dangerous or doing something like that? And to show that we all do have that love and care for each other and would do anything for each other and want to make sure we're eating and want to make sure we're like getting drunk if we have and want to make sure that like if we need to smoke a pack of cigarettes in an hour, it will happen regardless of what our coping is. Like, we'll be there for each other. And I don't think that's something a lot of people have, because after Paris died, a lot of people disconnected from my friend group posted things like, you know, remind your loved ones that you love them, whatever, which I think is really like surface level and superficial, because out of most friend groups we do that, I feel like, more than any. And you know, sometimes that doesn't always pay off, but we don't do it so we can keep people alive. We do it just so they know that they're cared about and that they're loved. And I feel like that's more important than doing it so people stay alive. We do it because we actually mean it.
That's some real shit.
I'm so happy I get to work with you. It's really good. So, thank you.
Dear Twinkledad, I hate my job and I can't stay focused and I can't be bothered to care most days. I really don't know what to do or if I'm doing the right thing, so I keep switching jobs, finding myself at the same crossroads again, but just months later. I'm getting worried I can't keep doing this, but I don't know what else I can do. Any advice? Thank you. Huh. I don't want to like front load this with advice and instead just kind of like want to figure out like what those feelings can be like. But I imagine like how you talk about your job, that you probably like went to school for it, you know, and like when entering post grad or like when entering undergrad, then post grad, there's like, especially in your first year, there's a lot of confusion of like what you as a student should do. You know, everyone says like go to college to get a career, but like what's the point of going to college in a career path that you like don't necessarily want to pursue or that you don't like, just to get money, you know, or have like a sustainable life? Because if you have a sustainable life materially, but you clearly do not enjoy it and want to keep jumping around, then is the sustainable life all that worth it? You know, is the material all that worth it? You know, like I said in the previous, when talking about the previous question, you know, I guess the biggest crossover here is authenticity. But I think authenticity in this case is more pertinent to what your future would look like. Now, I'll ask this, and you can just say it out loud if you want. Do you truly like what you do? Do you like this career path? Is it just the job, or is it what you're doing in the job? And then finally, is it too late to change what you're doing? You can self-destruct. I know I said don't self-destruct, but fuck it. I'm going back on my words. No. But like I maintain that thing where, you know, like there might be possibly like a pressure that got you to join this career field, right? That like, oh yeah, this current job that you're doing right now is just so sick and cool, as you're told from like a parent or like an like elder person. And then you get into the job and, you know, it's exciting, you're making good money and that you're digging it all. And then, like you said, you're just consistently crossroads after crossroads after crossroads, hopping from one job to the other. You know, I don't mean this. I'm only using this term out of like jest because in the usual context it's used, it's very negative. But, you know, I think it's important for our conversation. Is the problem just you? You know, it's not the career force. Like, couldn't you just be the problem? It's not the job, it's just me. You know, and it's okay if it's you. Yeah, I know I've felt it with jobs in the past, where it's like just because you might be good or talented or skilled at something, you know, if it doesn't fulfill you, then why should you feel the need to continue to sustain it? You know, I understand that also, like, that might be hoping for too much because the job market now is just, you know, as we all know, is just so tough to find opportunities. And you can't go back into school to, like, get a 4-year degree like everyone wants in a completely different area of study just to do what you want. You know, and I think it's a very blitzing time. That's one of the words I used to describe the first two song choices for your situation. Because man, oh man. Like, I was about to say, you could work at Whole Foods. No. But like, you know, I want you to, like, most importantly, be honest with yourself. I think that's the best way to guide how you should, like, you know, because it's okay to quit your job, but like recognize what you do that leads you to the crossroads that you always encounter. You know, behavioral patterns, the type of jobs that you're getting. Like, I presume that this job might be newer, that, like, you know, if you have any superiority, you can ask for a little bit of a switch, you know, if you want. But yeah, recognize where your habits and where your tendencies lead you to this. You know, and I think it's all about owning up to what you're doing, because by owning up to your current feelings, that can allow you to put yourself in positions that you want to be in. You know? But that is still like a bit of a struggle bus to take. So I will like lead this first half before we get into like actual more formal advice with just be honest with yourself. Figure out a way to like tell yourself in the mirror what you're actually doing and what you actually want to do and what steps you want to take to achieve that. So in response, I have two songs. The first one, it's funny. My personal connection to the song was I was in a similar spot, a very, very similar spot. I was working an IT job, and I'm a theater major. And I found this song by Drunk Uncle, who just released a sick album on Count Your Lucky Stars. But they have a split, and I remember, I was like, oh, I'll listen to them because I remember seeing their announcement. And on the split, it leads with the song that I will be playing for you called Tagline, Couch equals Treadmill. I think it starts off with a Shrek sample, and it's just fully a song about laziness, about just like letting your gut hang out and sitting on your couch and like not getting yourself up to do what would be productive and instead just kind of soaking in it. I'm using the couch equals treadmill. The couch is the narrator's treadmill, except for you, the couch is your current job and the treadmill is your happiness and your self-sustainability. And so I remember I was listening to that song like on repeat, and I bought it. And then the next thing I get is a DM from them on Bandcamp, naming how many times they wrote the exact play count of how many times I listened to the song, which is not a healthy amount of times. And they're like, we want to come to a place to you. Let the sweethearts in Drunk Uncle, guide you. Let the experiences detailed in the song share some commonality with your current situation. And then following that, I have Shadow Baby, the demo from the band Dollhouse. Instead of like sitting on the couch, like the more realistic, it's about living in New York and just doing coke in the daytime and just not knowing where your future is. You can let yourself daydream a little bit. You can take some creative liberties and be like, oh, this is where I feel similarities to the song. But to me, even though these two songs are kind of sonically different, Treadmill and Shadow Baby communicate the same feeling of this is in the middle ground between my past self that I regret and the future self I want to be. So we're going to lead off with those, and then I'll talk to you so soon. Thank you so much.
Well, you didn't answer my question. Are you happy?
Of course I'm no happy. Look at me, I'm a big fat slob.
You're grown up to become your dad. Replace yourself just as quickly as you can, or fall back into your couch now. Save yourself for tomorrow. Your form's right, but you're really quickly in place. So convince yourself that there's somewhere or fall back into your couch bed. Maybe find the couch to share. Short breasts against the Chinese food that sits against the beer inside your stomach. Fried rice become your dad. So replace yourself just as quickly as you can, or fall back into your couch now. Save yourself for tomorrow. Your form's right, but you're moving really quickly in place. So convince yourself that there's somewhere you must be, or fall back into your couch there. Maybe find a couch to share.
And we're back. Howdy. Did you like those songs? Do you like doing coke in the daytime and never leaving your house, buddy? So in asking, like, if I have any advice, like, take everything I just said in the previous, in the previous section as advice. But truly, I think the main one I have is don't have a defeatist attitude about it. Sometimes we let our habits get the best of us, but it doesn't always have to be that way. I think that's the most beautiful part about, like, authenticity and growth is you recognize how you can change as a person and therefore how beautiful you can grow and that we all grow. It's important to have that attitude for yourself and other people, and I think, I really don't want to see you feeling down about this, that you always feel like you're at a crossroads after hating your job, because it will get better. I think it'll get better because of you, because I believe you are strong and you are definitely capable of doing it. It's tough. My email's always open if you ever want future help. But yeah, if you allow yourself to, like, if you spend the whole time sulking and sinking your shoulders, you can't walk that far in life. And I want you to do what you want to do, because I believe for anybody, but especially you, if you do what you want to do, then that's what will make you truly happy. And I think that's more important than any job title or LinkedIn resume or anything that brings material happiness. It's about living your life to the fullest. And yeah, I think that's just what I advise you to do. It's a funny time. Congratulations on having, like, a good job. That sounds kind of awkward. Whenever people say that, I was like, oh, this sounds a bit condescending. Are you saying that you're jealous? No, if you got this job in the first place, then what's stopping you from getting not only a good job, but a job that you like? You definitely got it. No worries, pal. Fucking keep your head up, truck on through, and there are people behind you who are supporting you. Even I am from a distance. So I'm very excited for this next song. I think it's a song that everybody should listen to because it's not truly spectacular, but it's the energy that it emits, like the sound. It's not necessarily twinkly or anything like the Drunk Uncle song, or like as punky and punchy as Shadow Baby. But, it's like what a lot of emo music is now. It talks about, all of the very simple feelings that tend to overwhelm our life. And I think especially because it talks about looking at other people who have like gone so far in their life and are doing what they want to do, but because even though you're like at a distance, like in a good position, you feel like you are stuck. It's like watching them move by. But thankfully this song just happens to feel like motivational. And it's exciting. I listened to it after recording the last section. I just listened to it and walked around, and if it does what it does for me, for you, then hell yeah. You can like fucking pick up the entire earth and throw it at the sun or something. That's how much power you have. Do a fucking job. You can just destroy the universe. So the song is called Bury Me at Penn Station by Summerbruise. If you've listened to it, you know what you're about to get into. But if you haven't, I hope you enjoy. It is so sick. And most importantly, you got this. I have faith, but you need to have faith. And so, I really hope you're doing well. And I know for a fact you will accomplish something that you want to do. And if you ever doubt yourself or think you can't do it after putting in so much effort to change your ways, listen to what I'm about to say on repeat. Quote, "It's going to take some time to realign, but if you look inside, I'm sure you'll find. Over your shoulder, you know that I told you, I'll always be picking you up when you're down. So turn around." After this, we're going to head into the last two questions about love and the beauty of love. Then I'll let you enjoy your little holiday season. But most importantly, right now, this is Bury Me at Penn Station by Summerbruise. Enjoy, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you.
Learn to be happy where you're at. Does it really change the fact that where you're at isn't where you should be? 'Cause where I'm at is the cul-de-sac. My dad lived as a kid. Katie's moving mountains, and I haven't moved in. From the place I keep my stuff, can't earn my keep. Just keep on saying thanks for the roof. I'm doing nothing to keep up. It's gonna take some time to realize. But if I look inside, I'm sure
Dear Twinkle Dad, what is love? What isn't love? Does love conquer all? If it doesn't, is it still worth something? Thank you. So you sent in quite a lot of questions, and I wish I could answer them all. But I picked the 2 questions about love very deliberately, because next episode leads off with a question about love, specifically first love. And, it's something that I will always take an opportunity to jump at, because love is just such a huge and nuanced thing that, like, all of the intricacies, no matter how you look at it, is fascinating. And I think love and hate are the 2 greatest human emotions. Of course, there's never going to be a direct answer as to what is love and what isn't love, because it's all so relative. But I do believe it is something that is in the body and is almost like a mode of operation. Let's talk about romantic love first. How many times do you truly believe, that you have loved somebody romantically? If it's it could be one time or multiple times. But if you have loved multiple people, try to find the key similarities between the loves that you had, and then say what they are. Chances are, and this is merely a hypothesis, you don't really have a good answer for that. Because I don't think, of course not all love is the same, because not all people are the same. And every interaction is merely just consequences of a million circumstances coming together at once. Because of that, the pace and speed and movement and flow of love is going to be drastically different. And the little instances that make you love someone is going to differ from situation and situation. It can be slow. It can be that first love where everything's just kind of like a fluttering butterfly and neither of you understand what's going on. So each moment that you share together is a unique moment that neither of you have ever experienced before, and probably won't experience again. There is just such a huge layer of naivete, however you pronounce it, and ignorance to it. So how you love someone is natural. Then, of course, you have, I guess what you could call it is the speeding truck kind of love, where usually it's between 2 friends who have been friends together for 2 years, and you kind of skip the talking stage. You immediately just recognize running into a fucking brick wall or watching a truck crash. Oh my God, I love you. There's a mutual thing. So immediately there's no building up of intensity. The intensity is there. So you go through kind of the same naivety, not because you don't understand how love or relationships work, but you don't understand how the other person works. But it's still that intensity. It's magnified and glorified to the utmost extent that seems bigger than any human being. It's almost like you build that love in your head more than what it actually is. And that's something you don't necessarily reap the consequences until afterwards. And then, of course, there's love that almost complacent love, where you just secretly, without consciously thinking about it, just develop love for somebody. That isn't a state of mind. It's in the body. And it's how you view moments, and it's how you interact with each other. So I think, I think that's love. But truly, if I have to give like a direct, like one sentence thesis, it's like, I think love is authenticity. Love is the privilege of being able to explore the true extents of your emotions. And what isn't love is everything else, essentially, besides other strong feelings. Because the power of love is that it just remains with you forever, and it just kind of lingers. And it's all about you trying to reinvigorate that love. It could be with another person. You can keep on going on like fucking Tinder dates time and time again until you find the one. It could be in the art that you make. It could be in the art that you consume. You find something that you truly love and that you truly cherish, and it gives you the privilege of feeling real. Like you can feel your response in your heart and in your body. Love can make you shit. Love can make you go into cardiac arrest. And I think, that's like where it's cool, because it's like, and if you've spoken to me before, we may have already had this conversation, but it's like love and hate are very much interchangeable because of that. Because they are simply two emotions and feelings that are bigger than one's own body and capability. It's what drives us, and it's what moves us. And I think being able to do what you love and wanting to do what you love is the greatest thing a human can do. In turn, wanting to destroy what you hate is also one of the greatest things that a human can do, as long as you love doing it. It's almost like squares and rectangles. I don't remember the exact metaphor, but it's just like you can love destroying what you hate, but you can't hate loving what you make. And I think because of that, that is the true emotion. A lot of that is influenced by, oh my gosh, what's his name? By Artaud. Then later on, Deleuze and Guattari, the idea about body without organs, where Artaud, this heroin addicted theater maker, wanted to explore theater that brought the extent of human emotions. Like it attacks the subconscious and it triggers a bodily reaction. And like that's why in a lot of theater that is influenced by that, and a lot of art, it relies on the horrors that you don't think you have. It relies on like revolting and vile shit that triggers people, and it's like good and all, but like love has that same capability. If you read how Artaud loves his previous partners, he found the same amount of freedom in that love as he did when he created theater that was essentially driven on hate. And he loved both of it, and he never once really hated the love that he had. And so in that sense, I do think it conquers all. And arguably a lot of people, especially like philosophers or academics, would argue as well. And I think personally, yeah, love conquers all. And I think when I say it's a privilege, it's because I wouldn't be doing this podcast if it wasn't for love. I won't be here if it wasn't for love. All the people I've been able to love in my life, and all of the art I've been able to love to create and to consume, is truly, I think, what drives me. And, to tie everything back into the start before we play two songs, it's only the first episode, so it feels silly to even be like a bit emotional. But like I explained in the prologue, the reason why Twinkle Dads just kept returning was because it was something I love. Like, it's that one thing where no matter what, I look back at it and, and it was like, I enjoyed it and it was sick to me, whether or not other people enjoy it. And, Christmas time is tough. This time, the fucking cold, dark winter, it's not easy for anybody. And just even the response so far in reading these questions, I love what this is so far and what it could be, because I feel, it's like a privilege. It's a privilege to do what you love and to love. And I think if love has gotten me this far, and I think could take me farther, then it can for everybody else. And that is just so beautiful. And so far, the reaction, I'm very grateful for it. And it's all meant with love. And everything in this episode and in Twinkle Dads is meant for love for the listener. So yes, it conquers all. And it conquers all for this podcast. I'm going to play 2 songs before we head out, and hopefully you can enjoy the rest of your day. And these are 2 songs that come to my mind whenever I think about love. The first one being Dopamine, parentheses, It's Love, by Alice Dreamt. It's not an emo or punk. Neither of these are necessarily. But no, when I discovered this song, it's just kind, it's very poppy, lo-fi a bit, and it's about dopamine rushes. It's almost like a cocaine song, and the effect about like immediate material love, not maternal love, immediate material love, which I think that rush is nice. Not the coke rush. I've never done coke, but like the immediate rush of just like immediate gratification. And so I think the song conveys it well. Also, it's just a banger song that people should listen to. Followed by that is more about the bodily love that I talked about recently. And chances are you've heard this artist, probably not this song because it's only on Bandcamp and all of their big songs are just essentially on Spotify. But when discovering it at a live show, my immediate head jerk reaction was, this is what love sounds like. This is what that bodily, eternal love sounds like. And, it means a lot to be in a position now to share it with y'all, because hopefully you relate, because it's such a great song. And I really wish all of this provided at least some help. It's understandable if it didn't. And you can tell me how it doesn't help. But still, at the end of the day, the priority is you. The priority is how you're going to feel after this and how you handle the rest of your day and the rest of this season. If you have thoughts, questions, you can always hit me up. You can always email me more questions. But if not, I hope you're doing well. I care about you. I never said what the second song was, but I will now. First, we have Dopamine by Alice Dreamt, followed by One Breath by Radiator Hospital. Thank y'all so much for the love, because I love y'all back. And I will be back next week. Cheers. Thank you so much. See you later, alligator.
sway side to side. Your knees shake next to mine, but our hearts beat out of time. Will our hearts ever beat in time?